All right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to What's Next? Tapping your badass.
Woo!
Tapping into your badass?
Yes. Tap into that badass.
Yeah, that. That's what I meant to say. Um, we are on our non maiden voyage.
Yes.
This is number 2.
Yes.
And one of the things that we wanted to talk about, because this is all about candid conversation, so we're just going to let this baby roll, is what are we afraid of? Because when you're afraid of something, you've given somehow your power away to that, and it becomes bigger and keeps us from doing a lot of stuff we want to do, like this channel, for instance.
Exactly. It took a lot for us to look this right in the eye and say, gee, what are we afraid of, Nancy?
Or as I like to say, Geronimo. Oh, God.
This is our big Geronimo fucking O jump.
It is. Because what we have to share, and I saw this demonstrated, this weekend talking to people. There's a resonance to that. People, when you can be real and you can be true and you can be open and vulnerable, other people respond to that. And it becomes this real precious time of sharing,
Correct.
Because people, I don't think, get caught up in the, oh, you're going to judge me, or I have to keep the mask on and pretend that everything is great and I'm a superstar and my life is perfect, because there's no such thing.
Correct.
So my whole thing has always been just take it off, be real. Be real. Because it takes a lot of energy to keep up the fake.
Exactly. And here's another thing too. One of my favorite quotes is, courage is not the absence of fear. So what we want to do here in this segment this afternoon is we want to talk a little bit about what, Nancy, what are you afraid of? And we're all afraid of a lot of things in our lives. All of us. I don't think there's a person walking out there that probably looks super courageous to you and you think they have no fear. No, what they've learned to do is they've learned to acknowledge that fear does exist, and they've learned how to use fear in a way that's productive and positive and doesn't keep them imprisoned. Correct?
Yeah. Or you can be like me and then I just sit paralyzed for a while and do nothing.
We all have.
Maybe I'll get out of bed today. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Whatever. Okay. And where do we get it from? Where do we get it from? If you ask me, what am I afraid of? What am I not afraid of? At some point in time or another during the course of a period of time. Is the money there to pay the bills? Is are my kids okay? What are my grandkids doing? Blah, 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 blah. What am I afraid of? And one of the big things that I really have worked a lot on lately is to have one less fear. And that fear is the fear of comparison, because it robs you of joy, because I'm the only me. And that fear of what other people are going to think. If I cared what other people thought, I wouldn't be on here right now. Diane and I wouldn't be doing this.
Exactly.
I'd be writing fluffy things about how pretty the unicorns are in my neck of the woods, instead of the reality of,
I have no unicorns in my neighborhood.
Oh, well, they're all over here. The reality of we're all grieving. Let's just admit it. Everybody's lost out on something special with all of the weirdness that's going on in the world right now.
Especially in the last year. Absolutely.
Grieving what the normal was and not knowing what the new normal will be, and which there is no normal. So hello. It's that awareness of that acceptance of that, and not judging yourself because of it. I think that we do that a lot. We're really, really, really hard on ourselves and talk in our heads to ourselves in ways that we would never say to somebody else.
But wait, let me take it one step further. Okay, because you hit something.
Okay.
You hit on something.
Okay.
So you're talking about this coming from an inward stance, meaning that you're feeling the fear inward. Well, a lot of times, one of the reasons you experience fear a lot of times comes from outside of yourself. It turns out to be an inward fear, but it's something that comes from the outside. And I'm going to tell you, Nancy and I talked about, okay, so what is she afraid of? What am I afraid of? I'm going to give you a tangible. And the tangible for me is that comes both from inside and outside is as it relates to limitations that are being put on us as we age in this country. That's a big, big area of concern for me. I've had fears regarding it due to the fact that my professional background is in aging. I'm a seniors advocate. And I've paid particular attention for over the last 10 years on the fact that the message I get from society is that when you hit a certain chronological number, age, you stop. You stop learning, you stop developing, you stop having fun. And not only does society...
And you're not sexy anymore, and God damn it, I'm sick of it.
And there you go. And you stop having sex. But that's a whole nother show. But
I didn't say sex, I said sexy.
I said sex.
Okay.
But anyway, so what I'm trying to say that goes along with Nancy is you have inside and outside sources that tend to perpetuate the fears that we all have. And sometimes what happens is when you have an outside source, such as what I've just given as an example, my response to that is that I'm going to push the envelope. I'm going to push.
You're taking your power back.
I'm taking my power back.
That's the point. Take your power back. Who says who? Who gives a shit what society says? They don't know.
Exactly right. And right now, unfortunately, because of this last year, we have a tendency to feel that if we are not all like-minded in what we choose in our life, especially when we try to be courageous and not fearful, that's under a very, very watchful eye. And the bottom line is, as individuals, the only way that we can overcome the fears that we have subjected to us from internally or externally is to take control of our lives as individuals. And that's where the badass comes in.
That's the badass, and that's the taking your power back.
That exactly right.
My whole thing is the whole, what are you afraid of and says who? So if you're finding yourself fearful because someone's going to judge you or society's going to judge you or you're going to whatever, you've automatically given that power over and you're looking for validation from whoever we decide has the powers to be to validate us when being truly like fearless and badass, I think is taking that power back and realizing that the validation and the power is ours. And when you take that back and you're not giving it to other people who didn't really want it in the first place.
Correct.
And aren't necessarily the best, healthiest people or situations to give us validation. We give it over anyway. When we take that back, that's where the power is. That's where the strength comes from and the badass comes from, because you get to that point where you don't care. You don't care what somebody else is saying. They're not you. They don't live your life. Nobody else has been Diane. No one else has gone through what Diane's gone through. Nobody else is Nancy. Nobody's gone through what I've gone through. And yet, when you're honest about that, the similarities or the things that we find we have in common with other people and the places where like our souls touch through not pretending that we're not cracked vessels, and that's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. I think we're all broken and it's a cool thing because it's what we share.
Acceptance.
Well, it's what we share.
Yeah.
And as long as we think everything's supposed to be bright and shiny and we go out and put our best face on, look at what I made for dinner tonight. Don't look in the garbage can with the 400 pounds of the burnt stuff before I figured out how to make this wine. It's so fake. And it's so fake, it's not real. And the beauty is in the real. The beauty is in dropping that stuff and really getting to the place where you have one or two people you trust. Like I trust Diane
and I trust Nancy
to like validate me because she's no shit and she knows me, right? I mean, you're not gonna you're not gonna blow smoke.
Right,
You're gonna like be honest with me, and I trust you. And there are things that even though our lives have gone different ways or been in different circumstances, there are some things that we have in common.
Absolutely, that's why we're here.
And there's things we have in common with everybody out there. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
Whether it's figuring out who am I now at this stage in my life, or learning how to grieve even the real, like, wonderful things. Every goodbye, there's some grief, and that's okay. And how to be honest and real about that, and not be platitude people. That's my new one, platitude people. I like that.
Platitude.
Are you a real person or are you a platitude person? There's lots of people that can say all these nice things that we've been taught to keep distance there. When a lot of times it's just, you know what? That sucks. That's hard. I get it. I'm sitting here with you. Right, I'm sitting here with you in it. And that's all I can do because I can't fix it. It's not my job.
I think what everyone needs to realize is that when it comes to what you're afraid of, First, you need to acknowledge. You need to acknowledge.
Well, you got to figure out what it is.
You have to figure out what it is
Right.
that you are actually afraid of.
Right.
And once you have that self-awareness, you're able to take responsibility for the fact that you can choose, and this is all about choice. You can choose to walk with that fear and go through it and overcome it, or you can choose to allow that fear to dictate and rule you.
Right.
And that's what both Nancy and I, for all different types of reasons and all different types of fears, have come to learn in doing the work, and it is work. Fear is not something that goes away because somebody else says to you, it's okay now, you don't need to be afraid anymore, right?
Oh, thanks. Super.
It's okay now, you don't need to be afraid anymore. Someone in an authoritarian position has said, oh, that's it, no more fear for
All
you.
clear, we're all good.
No,
it's all fine.
that's not how it works.
It does take work.
It takes work, and it takes an individual's self-awareness to understand why they are afraid and what they can do about it to make it better.
Well, you have to care. Are you living your best life?
Right.
You know, or are you just doing time? That's a question only you can answer, and that's the question. And there takes a tremendous amount of fearlessness to even look at that, to even address that question.
Right.
You know, and the thing is, and what I've kind of figured out in this long ass journey that I've been on and all these lessons that I've learned is it's okay. And a lot of times the more you try to like convince yourself you don't have something, the bigger it becomes. It becomes bigger and bigger and more encompassing rather than just acknowledging it and going, yeah, I'm scared. Right now in this minute, I'm scared. Is my power going to be turned off? Like that's a scare. That's a fear. That's a fear I have. Okay. But is it the end of the world, or is it impacting me in this moment right now? No, it isn't. I know that there are steps that, I can take to alleviate that. Knowledge is power, all of those kinds of things. But the bottom line is it's getting to that place. And I think this last year has been really profound for a lot of people in figuring out what true wealth is and what true happiness is. And it's not in like the things, or many people have figured out it's not in the job. It's in their health and their family and their faith and those kinds of things. And in that way, there have been, depending on how if you can flip and reframe things, there's a lot of blessing in every situation that to some might be nothing but negative everything. And somebody else can look at that same exact situation through a different set of eyes and see something.
That's the lens of choice.
Beautiful.
That's the lens of choice.
Right.
That's the lens of choice. And this is the key to answering the question, what are you afraid of?
I like that. That's the lens of choice. It's the lens of choice.
And choice is something that I know Nancy and I are going to go into in great depth on other subject matter. But it's probably good that it comes out with our first video.
Well, and it's going to keep coming back.
And it's going to keep coming back because
it's the lens of choice.
It's a lens of
Right.
choice. There you go. Just made that one up. It's a lens of choice.
And that's what we might call this if, people can't find us on what's next.
Right. Then we'll
look for the lens of choice.
We're looking for the
That's good.
lens of choice. So again, lens of choice, whatever you want to call it, it's self-awareness, and it's a willingness to acknowledge that there is a fear that you've given your power over to.
Yeah.
And once you realize that you no longer the only way to fight fear
Product
is
placement, by the way.
Oh,
McDonald's
that's right.
coffee.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
That was my cup of Joe. That's my cup of Joe.
I'm having tea with, I had product placement too. Constant
There
comment.
you go. There you go.
Whoops.
Little plug.
Maybe they'll sponsor our channel.
Hey, somebody, yes, we're looking for sponsors too. But yes, the only way to combat fear is to take responsibility for it.
To be brave.
Is to be brave. And sometimes you have to fight and be brave and tackle that very thing you're afraid of. But I know this much. When you give your power away, when you expect someone else to make you feel better and less afraid, you never achieve overcoming it.
No, you never do.
So it's first, it's an acknowledgement. It's self-awareness of what am I afraid of?
It's having the bravery to look at your fears.
Exactly right.
Isn't that like,
First, you have to be aware of that. You have to have self-awareness on what am I afraid of. So that
involves like finding stillness, though. Too,
yes, that does.
Because we get in this like frenetic whatever,
go.
go, and that's why all of a sudden, like with this last year, when everybody's sort of like everything stopped, it was like, are you kidding me? I have to like sit with myself now.
Right.
I don't. Woo, that's not always a very comfortable place to be.
But you bring up a great point because in looking what's gone on in this country in this last year, people were on automatic pilot for a long time.
Oh God,
we've all been on automatic
hey man,
pilot.
hamster wheel. Woo!
And last year forced us all to have to do exactly what Nancy just said. We all stopped. We all were forced to stop. And in that moment of silence, when you're in a moment of silence, great truth comes to the surface. And a lot of people aren't willing still to look at it. So what they do is they stay on automatic pilot. They are easily controlled by someone else telling them when to be afraid and when not to be afraid. And what Nancy...
Or they drink a lot of wine.
Or they drink
on Zoom little get-togethers with their friends so
exactly
that they can keep
right.
the buzz going
exactly
most
right.
of the time to distract.
Hold on, and Nancy and I are all about drinking wine in person.
Yes.
Right? Yes,
Yeah.
no. I'm sorry, Zoom doesn't
I
cut
know.
it. I want to
Or
drink
drinking
wine.
something.
Drinking
not
anything
necessarily
in
wine.
person
It's
would
usually
work.
more
Yeah.
hard stuff. But it's that distraction. Like, we're so easily distracted. There's so much in the world to distract us. In normal time, what, your job, your kids in school, their activities, what they're doing, go, 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 go. It's all distraction from really doing. This is my favorite.
Here we go. I saw that too.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work. Absolutely.
And again, it is work. It's not, you don't just snap your fingers. It's a process forever of constantly understanding and learning more about this thing that we call fear and about learning to be brave because, each time it gets a little easier. I find that I go to that fear place for much shorter periods of time now. Doesn't mean I don't go there. I'm human.
Right.
But I don't stay there.
Right. You don't have to.
Because time and time again, it's been proven to me, or something is like, I was okay. I'm okay. It's going to be okay. Like it's okay. And again, part of that is having taken back my power too, to not, I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, what is it I'm afraid of and why? Like, what am I hearing in my head? Who's telling me to be afraid?
What message? Who's giving the message?
Who would I give my power to that's telling me that I need to be afraid right now? Oh, ComEd. Or, the phone company. Oh, the whatever.
Well, and let me give tangibles because we also want to educate you from this standpoint to be your own best version of who you are.
Be your best friend.
We want you to understand that we'll talk about what are we afraid of, but how do we deal with that? So I can go back to my original statement. So one of the fears I've had ever since getting into the senior industry is that my abilities to live my life freely at the age that I am are going to be limited because of societal norms. So what do I do? How do I tackle that fear? Because I know you're sitting out there and you're looking at both of us going, well, this is great. You two are sitting there having coffee, talking about fear, fear, fear. So what's the end result? What do I choose to do? So I'll use myself as an example. I push the envelope. I push the envelope every day and try to do things that don't represent what my chronological age represents. So,
and your chronological age, according to who?
Exactly right. Exactly.
That's where that goes. Are you fucking kidding me? 60's the new 30. Get over it.
50 is the new 40 or 50's
20,
no,
man.
50's 20. Yeah.
It's a mindset.
It is a mindset.
Right.
So
why do you think so many people die right after they retire?
That's a whole nother great topic of conversation.
Like,
lack
you
of
ever thought
purpose.
about that?
Lack of purpose.
Now I'm retired. I'm going to sit in my Barca lounger and do absolutely nothing. That's good for your brain. That's really good for your brain.
You can't go 99 miles an hour most of your life and then one day completely stop because what happens is it generates a lack of purpose.
Yeah, and that if it's the husband who stays home, the wife wants to kill him.
Yeah. That too.
Or vice versa, or if they both retire, like they want to kill each other, and that's just not a good healthy way to end your life.
But that's
I love
a
you so
whole
much,
nother
honey.
topic.
I waited for this day forever. I hate your guts.
That would be a good show format on how you survive your spouse who retires and still stay married to them when they're home 24/7. But we can't go down that path. We can't go down that path.
I was going to say,
we're going to run out of time. We're going to run out of time.
I don't have that issue.
And I don't either anymore.
So I can't really relate to that, Diane.
Okay, well then we won't do that one right
There are
away.
things about it that I can relate to.
Absolutely. But staying on point, Staying on point. So when
Why
I
do
say
you want to do that? That's
I
so
want to
fun.
stay on point so that we
Do you
can
see how this is
see how
going?
the banter goes?
She's like keeping things, and I'm just woo.
That's right. We
Drop it
balance.
out, woo.
We
Whatever.
balance. But I do want to make the point, which is you'll say to me, Diane, you're out there going, well, Diane, what do? What's pushing the envelope? What does that mean to you? Well, pushing the envelope for me means things like I box. Okay?
Yeah.
I box.
I don't.
But you should.
I sleep.
I box, but that's my response to pushing the envelope, saying that why can't I box at the age I'm at? Who said that I can't do the same things at my current age that I did 30 years ago? But that is what happens when you are on automatic
That's
pilot.
because your lens of choice that you have.
Woo!
See how I rolled that all back around?
Woo!
Yeah, that's what I do. That's how I roll. Because you have that lens of choice to say, this doesn't define me. Your
Thank you.
chronological
Thank
age
you.
or whatever doesn't define me.
Thank
Just
you.
like, your station in life. Whatever you make for dinner tonight, it doesn't define you.
Right.
Who you're married to doesn't define you.
Exactly
What
right.
your kids' grades are, it doesn't define you.
So
what you drive doesn't define you.
What defines you? Tell them what defines you, because you have people out there going, okay, Nancy.
Then what does?
What does? So go ahead, girl.
What defines you is
Slam dunk
who
it.
you are inside, man. Like doing your work
In the
and
heart.
realizing that you are amazing and smart and talented and resilient and all of those things. They're all in there. We just get them all covered up with a lot of the junk that everybody else tells us and dumps on us and whatever. This whole process for me over the last forever years has been uncovering a lot of that and making peace with all of who I am. I'm not an angel. I know. You're all like freaked out and going, oh my God, I thought she was perfection. I'm not. See, thank you. Yes, I'm not. Okay. But I can honestly look at you and say, I love all of me.
Right.
There isn't like a bad part of me. There's stuff that I have come to terms with, and I try to be gentle with myself and my own best friend and accepting of things that a lot of society might say isn't a pretty thing or an acceptable thing or whatever. Because again, who has the power, who defines that, and who says?
And I think that's the message that we want. I'm pointing something out to her. I think that's the message. No, that's where we're at on time. See, there you go. I think that
I forgot to start.
I think
we're trying to time
2
this
minutes
to be
behind
official.
me. Well, yeah, we're trying. We're in a learning curve.
We
We're
are
in a learning
totally.
curve. So
We're having candid conversation.
yes, we're having candid conversation, but I think in having this candid conversation, it boils down to why we did the subject matter today, which is in order for you to be able to achieve all the things that Nancy and I both have done individually in our lives with self-acceptance.
Oh my God.
It comes from the
You
fact
just put me on a pedestal, Dane.
I just did a
In
little.
order to be as poor as I am.
Come on, I put her up like this. But
in order to have like your crazy shit show life where you get to be the ringmaster, although that's real.
But
it's
it's
real.
real.
It's authentic.
And
Like,
this is and this is what we promised you, which this is raw, this is unrehearsed,
it's candid,
and
all
it's
right.
very candid. And the bottom line is that we want to reinforce the fact that it means that you need to come off automatic pilot. Would that be a good way? Would that be a good tangible? Come off automatic pilot long enough.
Change your lens of choice.
Damn, she's going to have this one on me
I'm
all
telling ya.
for the rest of the day.
That's it right
all
there.
for the rest of the
Change
day.
your lens of choice.
Change your lens of choice.
Hey man, if your life is great and you love it and you're just zipping along and everything is groovy and you have nothing to complain about and like woo, okay, you're a liar first of all, but we'll get beyond that. Good for you. Then do what you got to do.
Right.
If you're at a place in your life where you look and go, wow, there's a lot of things that I'm having questions about now, or that I'm maybe not feeling as on top of as I once did, or that I'm really trying to figure out, like, why am I living this life where I'm afraid or I'm not,
Right.
whatever, hang around. We'll get to it.
Yes, we will. We will get to it eventually.
Yeah.
So on that note, would it be safe to say we should
Wrap it up?
Wrap it up. And what I'd like to say is, if you like us, please hit that little like.
Give us a
symbol.
thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs
and
up.
subscribe.
And please
and
subscribe.
tell us how you feel in the comments. I'm trying to channel all the YouTubers I've watched. If you
Please do. Tell us.
Yeah, because we're going to be candid about a lot of different things. And if there's something that is hitting your hot button
Right.
and you're thinking like, okay, that's great, but what do I do about this? We'll hit it. We'll hit it. Because, I'm an expert in everything.
And
In my own broken, shattered, messy, non-beige way. Right?
And as we
because we're real.
We are
real.
very
We're true.
real.
Okay, we're going to do our
so
sign
we're going
off.
to do our sign off now. So just remember, this week ahead,
Stay amazing.
ready?
And
Stay amazing and tap.
Tap into your badass.
You got
baby.
it. Bye, guys.
Think about your lens of choice. That's
Yes.
a good one.
Bye.